Are you lonely? If you're American, you probably are, because apparently 3 in 5 Americans are. Loneliness is a condition that seems at some point to affect us all. I don't know if the uniqueness of our recent cultural and medical condition has affected loneliness. Certainly it's a precondition for solitude. Let's talk about loneliness, how it affects us individually, and most importantly, stay to the end of the video because we're going to be talking about solutions. Because of course, as you know, because cliches are abundant in all our cultural shared spaces and minds, that you can be lonely, even in a crowded room.
Well, you know what? It's not the cutoff, I think, that is the issue. It's not the loneliness, it's the reaction to it. So loneliness in and of itself makes one feel empty and sort of lost. But it's when people get angry, when people get scared, when people get sad.
I've been told as part of my recovery that our reactions to our emotions does determine our state of mind. Like you feel alone and then you feel ashamed. You feel fretful and then you feel nervous and scared. It's like you set yourself off on some domino roll of emotions that goes only one way, a total collapse of all the dominoes. I don't know if that's really a problem deep down domino wise, but in terms of your emotional state, reacting to your inner state in a negative way, of course, perpetuates and exacerbates the original condition. Now, I've had loads of times in my life where I've been lonely. The life of a drug addict can be a lonely one. And I was never a drug addict that used around other people. I used to go, score, get, use alone, just with the TV on. The time in my life when I was most aware of being lonely was when I used to live with this lovely woman. We lived together in London. It was a fantastic time, and that relationship broke up. And I remember when she was gone, I felt really pitiful, and like the routines of my life were dreadful. Just walking to the shop, buying these noodles and tuna. I ate tuna in those days. Like living a pitiful, poor, lonely existence. I didn't see a way out of that situation then, and it was only as a result of a kind of massive spiritual overhaul that a solution was found. I think, don't you, that with most problems, you can't address them sort of in a direct and prescriptive way. Normally, the problem that you're identifying is a symptom of a deeper condition. And if you don't address that condition, then that symptom and likely others will continue.
Advice for people who may be watching this at home, feeling lonely, wondering how they can address it.
Two things that stand out. One, if we're using technology, creation over consumption. How we can use technology to create more face-to-face instead of passively eavesdropping or mindless scrolling on social media feeds that can alienate us or lead to a sense of inadequacy. And if we're creating that face-to-face, and right now we rely on video, this will amplify the level of emotion.
Always right about that, isn't he? When I sort of look at the phone for too long, when I get lured into some fractal of idiocy down the old dumb screen there, when I stop doing it, I feel like really kind of like a ovine, sheep-like nitwit, like I've given over my consciousness to something else, given over my attention, given away the source of my being. I'll go a little bit further. I'm not currently lonely in my life, broadly speaking. I'm in a marriage, I've got a dog, I've got kids. There's so many animals. We had this litter of kittens, and it's just like some mad, like, you know, if you go on holiday to maybe, I don't know, Greece, and you like walk down a back alley and there's loads of like a colony of cats. My house is like that. So loneliness, fat chance. But what I do recognize is when I feel sort of cut off or distracted or incapable of authentic relationship, it's the same as when I felt lonely in the many, many, many times in my life when I have been solitary, alone and disconnected. And the solution, I imagine, is the same as well. You have to have a baseline state of connectedness to yourself. Like our man here says about avoiding passive consumption of media and technological output, you know, like what I would say is, like, have you got a meditation practice? Do you do that? Is that part of who you are? Because from that foundation, see, when I meditate most days, of course I have this sense of connectedness and transcendence of the bunch of principles and ideas that I consider to make up me. But I also see like floating little revelations come by little realizations about, oh, you should probably do this, you should probably deal with that. It seems almost reductive to say, why don't you get a hobby and join the club? But the thing is that the world is full of people. So in his book, Sebastian Junger says that the modern city couldn't have been better designed to facilitate loneliness and depression if that had been the aim of the modern city, that it creates atomization. I have community bonds built primarily around addiction, alcoholism, and mental illness. I belong to groups where that is the primary subject that we're dealing with. And it's amazing what comes from that. Like self-help or community help, shall we say, mutual help groups, they're a fantastic way of addressing these problems. Hello, it's me, Russell, in an advert for my own video. What a weird thing. I'm not advertising the video, you're already watching the video. I'm doing a brilliant show, Our Little Lives, Shakespeare and Me, directed by Ian Rickson. It's a streaming show. It will be available on Live Now on July the 14th. I want you to get tickets for it right now. There's a link in the description. It's a brilliant hour-and-a-half long live show where I, using the words of Shakespeare, tell the story of my life and talk about many political, philosophical, theological, ideological notions. It's a stream of information. It's a streaming service. It's funny. It's heartbreaking. It might be the best thing I've ever done. Now, I know you like me to do most things for free. I will. You can't even skip ahead from this advert. You can tap away at that corner. I ain't going nowhere, baby. Please, if you can afford it and if you want to see it, get tickets from Live Now to see my show, Our Little Lives, directed by Ian Rickson. Sort of a collaboration between me and William Shakespeare. I was the more senior writer. It's a really, really funny, enjoyable show. The link for tickets is in the description. Check it out. Let's go back to that video. What I'm saying is probably saying something quite important. Other solutions suggested by other people who will credit can also be useful, and let's unpack a few of them here. Psychologist Dr. Leslie Becker Phelps says these are the 3 steps for overcoming loneliness. Awareness, you must recognize it and admit to yourself how you're really feeling. From my perspective as a man in recovery, that's also true, that any challenge you face has to first be acknowledged and recognized. Secondly, acceptance. Embrace the feeling of loneliness. It's no one's fault and no one is to blame. It simply is. Like, if you have a meditative and awareness practice, you'll start to know and understand yourself better. You'll start to feel, intuit and understand what it is that's rejected in you, what's neglected, what you're not examining and exploring. Once you understand that, you might have a better and more organic realization of the direction you would like to pursue. Otherwise, the problem is you'll likely pursue socially prescribed solutions like, you know, oh, I'd be better off if I was dating people. I'd be better off if I was consuming. I'd be better off if I was going to place XYZ, often unexamined, externally presented solutions that your culture invites you to explore. These, in my experience, are seldom beneficial because they are usually related to consuming or spending money. So I think the first thing is to, yes, accept the problem and to create a great awareness. And this for me is about a spiritual practice. If you have a spiritual practice of some kind, it will be beneficial. And isn't it curious how often these spiritual practices are connected to community? I don't mean obvious things like Judaism being built around a synagogue or like Islam being built around a temple or whatever. I mean like if you just belong to a meditation group. If you just belong to a meditation group, it's a good starting point. It's good to build community on the basis of who you really are, rather than some mad aspirational, I don't know, I want to be a hang glider type of club. Although that might be cool too. The third suggestion is compassion. Be kind to yourself. Practice reminding yourself that others feel lonely too, that it's part of the human experience. Well, that is good, isn't it? To not, as a woman at the beginning said, you don't want to spiral off into, oh no, I'm lonely, it's because I'm worthless, no one really likes me, I can't trust anyone, I'm going to spend my whole life alone. Those programmed beliefs, if fostered, can really create a lot of problems. I know because I have them, and part of my modern, recent, new, current practice is to not avoid those beliefs, to recognize them and calmly let go of them. Here are some plain, straightforward tips from Becker Phelps. Let's see if they work for us. Structure your day. Write a list of what you do every day. I do that already. Mindfulness. Take time to pay attention to your thoughts and feelings. I do that. You've got to do that. Do something you enjoy every day. Do something you enjoy, such as painting, reading. Okay, yeah, that's a good thing. What do? I mean, I walk my dog there. Also, get a dog. No, that's probably irresponsible advice. Don't get it. Do what you've got to do. Join a group is a great way to build new relationships. Yeah, but I'd join that group on the basis of some sort of purpose that you've identified through the awareness. Reach out to people, talk to someone about how you feel. I do that a lot. I'm lucky that I've got relationships that are set up on the basis of investigating that loneliness. You've reached the conclusion that you're lonely, but the point I'm making is this. The loneliness is probably a symptom of a deeper problem. Solitude can be beautiful. Sometimes when I'm alone, as I occasionally am, and I feel the old feelings, the haunting feelings of doubt and despair, I recognize that when I'm alone, this is a time when I can find real, truthful, authentic connection with myself, or as I would say, with God, that I can feel the God in me, that I embrace that feeling of being alone instead of being scared of it or trying to pacify myself with a screen or bland erotica or food or whatever. I think, no, this is cool. You're all right. You're going to be okay. Becoming a father has helped me become a father to myself. All of us must find the energies within us of nurture and protection and boundary that we've perhaps not been shown how to explore and how to enact, but they, believe me, are in there, and together we can find them. You can be part of a community right here, right now, by walking along with me. You can sign up to my mailing list at russellbrand.com. You'll get a weekly update as to what I'm up to. Let me tell you, you won't be bloody lonely then. I inundate you about every 25 seconds. Will you do this for me? Will you help me out with this? For example, I want you to subscribe to Luminary, which you can do on Apple now, wherever you are in the world. Then you get a podcast every week, me talking about deep stuff with a deep person. You get a guided meditation with my podcast Above the Noise, where I guide you through techniques that will help you with the very issues we've just been discussing. Another thing I'll bang on about is going over to Live Now and watching me do my Shakespeare show, where I talk about emotions and the fear and feelings in my life using the text of Shakespeare. So join my community, like and subscribe, and we will physicalize this stuff because I'm doing 20 live shows in the south of England over the last 3 months of this year, and you will be invited to that. And by God, we'll establish mutual support groups there, because I can't be alone and you shouldn't be either. Hope you've enjoyed this. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments below. Thank you.